Hello and welcome to another video cigar review from StogieReview.com. I am Walt White and I am here with a cigar that's already lit. And just in case you're wondering, no, I'm not 3/4 of the way through my cigar. I'm just smoking this this wee itty bitty nub. And I know we've talked about these cigars to death in the past on Stogie Review. We've got pre-release reviews, we've got standard production reviews, we've got short ashes reviews, and we seem to have probably 3 reviews on each line. The Connecticut, the Cameroon, the Habano. Probably not the Maduro because I never liked that one, but you kind of get the idea. We've Nub is sort of like beating a dead horse on Stogie Review. We've talked about it over and over and over so many times, and recently I came across a box of Nub Connecticut 358s in my humidor, and a thought came to mind, and I thought, you know what, it's probably worth doing a review just to talk a little bit about the Nub line and where it is today. So the other day I came down here, my daughter was just going down for an afternoon nap, and I knew that I had a very short time frame in which to smoke a cigar. So I started digging around in my humidor looking for something that I could fit in that hour and a half before she woke up. And what I wound up stumbling onto was a box of the Nub Connecticut 358s. Now, I got these cigars several years ago when my father and I built Sam Lucia's rolling tables. We were given a few boxes of cigars, and one of the ones that I got was the Nub Connecticut 358. Now, I hadn't cracked the box open for all this time. I don't know, 3, 4, maybe 5 years, probably closer to 4. But it was the only cigar on my humidor that I thought that I could squeak into that hour and a half time frame and not wind up pitching a bunch of it if my daughter woke up early. So I cracked the box open, I got out a cigar, I took a picture of the cigar and I posted it on Twitter like I do a lot of times, and I asked the question, have these cigars, do they stand the test of time, or where are they at? And I've got a number of very interesting responses, not quite the responses I was expecting. They ranged from, the brand is boring to it was a flash in the pan, it fizzled out, just I haven't bought one in ages, I haven't bought one in years. And on Twitter there was very, very little communication on the positive side of the cigar. So I thought that was really interesting. I smoked the cigar, and then a couple of days later I got out another one for the same situation. My daughter was going down for an afternoon nap, and I wanted to sneak a cigar into this little time frame. So I took the picture that I took a few days before and I posted it on Google Plus and Facebook, and the responses were more or less the same. There was a bit more positive on Google Plus, but I had a handful of these cigars are boring, put the final nail in the coffin already, haven't bought one in years, kind of a thing from Facebook. And I was just really interested to see where the brand went, because initially it was just this very upbeat, phenomenally popular line of short, stubby cigars. And here we are a few years later, and people seem to be moving away from them and going to, bigger and better cigars. Even though the 60 ring gauge is sort of, I don't know, it's probably in its peak right now. Everywhere you turn, someone is releasing a 6x60, and at least in my area shops, they're really popular. So I thought it would be really interesting to pose the same question to you after I talk about this particular cigar a little bit, and we do a little mini review, and we'll just sort of form a collective opinion in the comment section. And I'm curious to see what the masses think of the Nub line in general while I smoke the Nub 358 Connecticut. Well, I'm smoking along on my Nub Connecticut 358, and I'm enjoying it quite a bit. It's worth saying that a while back, when the Nub Connecticut was first released, the Connecticut line was probably my absolute favorite Connecticut of all Connecticut cigars at the time. I smoked a lot of the 460. I really enjoyed it. It was nice and flavorful. Had a good balance of flavor and strength. I should probably say power, not strength, but it had a really good mix of body and flavor, and just all in all, I thought it was a fantastic Connecticut cigar, the best on the market. And I smoked a ton of them. eventually I sort of faded away and moved to stuff like the Oliva Connecticut, the EP Carrillo New Wave, sometime later on after that. But I used to really enjoy the Connecticut line. At one point in time, of all of the nubs, the Connecticut was my favorite, and I just couldn't get enough of them. I stuck primarily with the 460 format in a lot of the nubs. It just kind of worked for me, and I never really felt like I was getting my money's worth out of the 358. 3 inches long, 58 ring gauge. There's just not a lot of cigar here, and when you compare it to like the 460, there wasn't much of a price increase. So looking at the cigars, the 460 was a little less comfortable to smoke. A 32nd of an inch isn't a whole lot of extra girth as far as the ring gauge is concerned, but they just seemed these just seem a little less unwieldy and more comfortable to smoke. But again, I felt like I was getting a bigger bang for the buck with the 460, so that's what I went for. And I really enjoyed the line, and still do. Cracking open this box and getting out a couple of the 358s, I'm just really impressed. I love the flavor. The construction is awesome. I've got a nice even burn line. The ash is holding a really nice compacted shape. It looks like it's going to hold on for quite a while. These short, fat ring gauge cigars tend to hold a really nice ash just because of the girth and their short size. Visually it looks more impressive than it really is, but this cigar, if I don't wave it around too much, it should burn down to the band without issue as far as the ash is concerned. Smoke volume is great. I'm getting lots of dense smoke. It's easy to get through the sinus. It's coating the palate really well. It's got a very bold Connecticut flavor. I was kind of concerned because with it sitting for a few years, I was afraid that these were going to, kind of wash out a bit. As of late, I've been smoking a lot of my older stuff, stuff that has 3, 4, 5 years of age on it, and it's been really hit or miss. Some of the stuff has aged beautifully, some of the stuff has aged really poorly, and a lot of the flavor fell away. In this case, the flavor stands, and that's just really impressive about it. I'm pairing this with a cup of coffee. I just love coffee in Connecticut, especially on a Saturday morning. But all in all, it's performing really well. It's got a really nice, bold Connecticut flavor. It's got a little bit of power behind it. It's just all in all, it's doing really well as a morning cigar for me at this particular time and day. Not that it wouldn't have at any other day, but still, right now I'm really enjoying it. Alright, well, I'm still plugging along on my Nub Connecticut 358, and I'm past that whole nub stand stuff, so I knocked the ash off before I hit the band. And I came back a little bit earlier than I anticipated because I wanted to make a correction. I said that these were 3 inches by 58 ring gauge. They're actually 3.7 inches by 58 ring gauge. And when I was looking up prices to see how they kind of compared to what I remembered to make a point, I was blown away by the prices. So on cigar.com, the Nub Connecticut 358, which is a 3.7 by 58 ring gauge, is $5.64 per single. Now if you head over to Famous Smoke Shop, the same cigar is $6.35 per single. And I remember these being like maybe $4 and some change. So we've seen a big price increase, over the last couple of years. And quite frankly, you've got to be crazy to spend that kind of money on a single Nub Connecticut 358. So it's no wonder why I'm getting these responses like, the cigar's past its prime, move on to something else, because I haven't bought one of these in years. And if I were to walk into a cigar shop tomorrow and see the Nub 358 for $6.34, or even for $5.91 or $5.64, next to an EP Carrillo New Wave for like $5.50, you'd be crazy not to pick up the EP Carrillo New Wave and save some and get change back for your $6.34 or your $5.64. It's just amazing to see the price increase. I mean, they started out here, and then little by little, the entire Oliva line kind of creeps up and creeps up, and they've gone from one of the best bargain brands, bang for your buck brands in general, and every year their lines just creep up and creep up and creep up, and they're falling out of contention, I think. So I was really disappointed to see the price on these things. Now, I know it's not really fair to compare Cigars International and Famous pricing to what you're going to pay in a cigar shop. However, I think it is because Cigars International and Famous do really, really well for volume. So if you're buying a 5-pack or you're buying a box, you're going to save significantly over what you're getting at your local tobacconist. When you're buying a single from either one, my experience has always been that my local cigar shop is either on par with the Famous or Cigars International or Cigar.com single price, or they beat it out by a couple of cents. So I think it's a good comparison, at least in Pennsylvania. Their single stick pricing is on par with a lot of local cigar shops for me, again, in Pennsylvania, with no large tax involved on cigars. So just if I'm walking through a cigar shop and I see something for $6.34 or whatever it was, $6.35, generally when I'm walking through a cigar shop, I have a certain price in mind. I want to spend $25 or $35, and as I'm picking them up, I would pick up the cigar and say, okay, it's $6.35 with tax. I'm going to round it up. This is $7 for this cigar, and when you round it up like that, it's just I've never ever pay $7 or close to $7 after sales tax for this. Simply put, it's just crazy. But anyway, I think my rant is kind of over. In terms of smokability, the cigar is beautiful. Smokes really well, lots of smoke, nice and flavorful. Love the flavor profile. Really, really bold Connecticut flavor. It just pairs wonderfully with coffee. I'm really impressed that the cigar didn't lose anything over time. I plan on enjoying every last one of the 18 cigars or whatever are that I've got left in the box. And I would suggest you pick one up and give it a try after all this time, but not for that money. It's just too much money for too little cigar. So that's going to do it. So again, I'm going to pose this question. Does the Nub line, in particular the Nub Connecticut, or let's just broaden it, the Nub line in general, does the Nub line have staying power? Is it still as relevant today as it was when it was first released a few years ago? Or have you moved on to bigger and better things? And if so, what have you moved on to replace the Nub line? That's going to do it. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you later.